In the far reaches of the galaxy, many civilizations had long forgotten the humans. Some called them an ancient myth, others dismissed them as a story for children. Texts on dusty shelves, half-ruined holobooks, and fading digital archives told tales of a race that could survive the deadliest planets, think faster than any machine, and fight like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. But most alien scholars thought these were just legends. No human had been seen for thousands of years. The Vexorians were one of the most powerful species in the sector. Their fleets patrolled the stars with precision and strength. They believed in strict order, advanced technology, and control over every system they encountered. To them, humans were nothing more than bedtime stories. The Thryn, a smaller and peaceful species, lived on a series of planets near the edge of the Vexorian territory. Their world was rich in rare resources but vulnerable to attack. Thryn children grew up learning the tales of humans, but adults laughed at the idea of such beings. Legends can't fight fleets or hold worlds, they said. One day, distress signals from a small Thryn colony reached the outer borders of the galaxy. The Vexorians had sent a group of rogue mercenaries to raid the colony, hoping to seize valuable minerals. The Thryn's defense fleet was small and outdated. They scrambled to prepare, but panic spread quickly. Alerts blared across control rooms and leaders shouted orders, trying to organize soldiers who had never seen real combat. In a small observation room, Thryn historian Lyra stared at the incoming fleet on her monitor. Her antennas twitched nervously. "They won't hold for long," she whispered to herself. "Nothing we have can stop them." A young officer named Talon paced back and forth. "Our weapons aren't enough. Shields will fail before reinforcements arrive. We can't—" He stopped when the alarm sounded louder. The Vexorian mercenaries were closing fast, their ships larger and faster than anything the Thryn had faced before. Far away, beyond the Thryn system, a human fleet emerged from hyperspace. Unlike the aliens, humans traveled in small, agile ships that relied on clever maneuvering rather than sheer firepower. Captain Daniel Reeves, a veteran of countless explorations, surveyed the fleet with calm eyes. "We have a call for help," he said to his crew. "Looks like our stories are needed again." Humans had been exploring the galaxy for centuries, but they were always careful to avoid contact with large civilizations. Most species had never seen them. Yet somehow the Thryn distress signal had reached them through a network humans had set up to monitor regions where help might be needed. As the humans approached the Thryn system, alien sensors picked up unusual energy readings. The readings were unlike anything the Thryn had ever seen. Waves of power, moving unpredictably, almost as if the energy itself were alive. Scientists scrambled to understand it, but the signals vanished as quickly as they appeared. Some whispered that the readings matched descriptions in old human texts, but most laughed nervously. "Impossible," they said. The first human ship dropped out of hyperspace above the Thryn capital. It was small, no larger than the Thryn defense cruisers, yet it carried an aura of confidence that made even experienced officers uneasy. Talon, staring at the view screen, felt his antennas stiffen. "What is that?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "I don't know, but it's something different." Captain Reeves activated his communication array. "Thryn Colony, this is Captain Daniel Reeves. We received your distress signal. We are here to assist. Prepare for coordination." The Thryn leaders hesitated. They had never spoken to humans before. Their language was ancient, and no one knew if these beings even existed. Finally, the colony commander responded, his voice shaking slightly. This is unexpected. We do not know your capabilities." Reeves smiled faintly. "Capabilities are better seen than described. Let us show you." The first engagement began near the outer mining fields. The Vexorian mercenaries were confident. They had numbers, heavy firepower, and experience. But the humans moved like shadows, using the environment to their advantage. One human ship darted between asteroid fields, causing a Vexorian cruiser to misfire and crash into a rocky asteroid. Another ship fired a specialized pulse that disabled engines without destroying the target, leaving the mercenary ship helpless and stunned. On the Thryn command bridge, eyes widened. Soldiers whispered, "They are incredible." Lyra could barely believe what she was seeing. The humans did not rely solely on brute strength or advanced technology. They thought differently. They adapted in real time, predicting enemy moves using misdirection and finding solutions that alien minds had never considered. Even the Vexorian mercenaries paused, surprised by the humans' tactics. "This is impossible," one muttered. "They are not supposed to exist." Meanwhile, Captain Reeves directed his fleet with calm precision. "Form the pattern Delta 9. Use the asteroids for cover. Draw them into the canyon. Ready the gravity pulses." His crew followed without hesitation, a blend of instinct and trained skill that seemed almost impossible to the watching aliens. The humans' success was not just in strategy. Their bravery inspired the Thryn soldiers. Troops who had hidden in fear before now took positions with confidence, motivated by humans fighting alongside them. In a short time, what should have been a slaughter turned into a tactical standoff. The Vexorian mercenaries found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn, unable to predict the humans' next moves. Back on the Thryn planet, children looked up at the sky through observation domes, eyes wide. "It's true," one whispered. "Humans. They are real." The humans worked quickly, repairing damaged shields, coordinating counterattacks, and teaching the Thryn how to adapt in the heat of battle. Their presence alone changed the morale of the defenders. The legends of humanity, once dismissed as myths, were now alive and visible for all to see. In the final moments of the first engagement, a human pilot named Mara Lopez executed a daring maneuver. She flew her ship directly through the enemy formation, disabling multiple cruisers with precise energy pulses, before emerging unscathed on the other side. Talon could hardly breathe, staring at the screen. I've never seen anything like that in my life," he murmured. Captain Reeves turned to his crew. "Good work. The colony will hold for now, but we have more ahead. Remember, adapt, think, and act. We are not here just to fight. We are here to inspire." The humans' message was clear. Strength was not only in numbers or weapons, it was in courage, adaptability, and the willingness to face impossible odds without fear. The aliens began to realize that their myths had underestimated humans. They were not just survivors. They were innovators, warriors, and thinkers beyond imagining. As night fell over the Thryn planet, alien historians began documenting everything they had witnessed. Lyra carefully typed notes into the archive, her heart racing. "These humans, they are the legends reborn, perhaps even greater than the story said." Above them, human ships glowed softly in orbit, a symbol of hope and courage. The galaxy's myths had walked into reality, and the first chapter of humanity's return had begun. And far away, in the silent void of space, the Vexorian mercenaries retreated to regroup, already fearing the next encounter. The humans were no longer stories. They were real, and they were coming. The aftermath of the first encounter left the Thryn colony buzzing with confusion and hope. Soldiers and civilians alike had witnessed something they never thought possible. Humans, the beings they had always believed were only stories, had arrived and held the line against a force they could not have resisted alone. Captain Daniel Reeves and his crew remained in orbit, coordinating repairs and preparing for the inevitable counterattack. Despite the calm on the human ships, the crew was alert, scanning the stars for movement. Humans had faced impossible odds on countless worlds, but every new encounter required careful observation and swift action. Down on the colony, the alien leaders were still trying to make sense of what they had seen. Commander Thalen, an experienced Thryn officer, paced across the command hall. His antennae twitched nervously. How can such beings exist? They think differently. They move differently. They win where we would have failed. Lyra, the historian, watched him with quiet excitement. Perhaps our myths were not myths at all. Perhaps they were warnings or lessons passed down through generations. These humans, they are what the story spoke of. The humans, meanwhile, were studying the Thryn's defense systems. Captain Reeves met with Commander Thalen in a secure communications chamber. The two species struggled to understand each other at first, but with translation devices and patient gestures, a basic conversation formed. "We need to prepare for the next attack," Reeves said. "Your defenses are strong but predictable. The mercenaries will adapt. You need new tactics, ones they won't expect," Thalen frowned. "Predictable? We are doing everything we can. Our fleet is well trained. Our weapons are advanced. How can humans, small ships, and what little power you have, change the outcome?" Reeves smiled faintly. "It's not always about power. It's about creativity, flexibility, and thinking ahead. We use the environment, anticipate moves, and work together in ways that can turn even the strongest enemy's plan against them." The Thryn officers exchanged doubtful looks. Thinking differently? You mean like unorthodox? One asked. Exactly, Reeves replied. You can fight like everyone else, or you can fight smart. The choice is yours. That night, the Thryn colony held its first joint training session with the humans. Aliens watched in amazement as human soldiers demonstrated techniques they had never imagined. They moved quickly, adjusting to changing conditions, using minimal energy for maximum effect. Even simple exercises like navigating terrain while under simulated fire revealed the humans' ability to adapt instantly. One young Thryn cadet, Nira, was particularly impressed. She had grown up hearing the stories, but seeing humans in action was far beyond anything she had imagined. It's like they see the battlefield in ways we cannot, she whispered to a friend. They know what to do before it happens. The humans were patient teachers. Mara Lopez, a pilot known for her daring maneuvers, led a demonstration for the alien pilots. She explained how to use gravity currents, asteroid fields, and unpredictable routes to outmaneuver larger ships. Her ship darted through the training zone, weaving around obstacles with precision and speed. The alien pilots tried to follow, struggling to match her timing and instinct. What? How do they do that? One young pilot exclaimed. I've flown thousands of simulations, and nothing prepares you for this. Reeves watched from the command deck, calm as always. It's not about following rules. It's about seeing opportunity and acting instantly. Humans improvise, adapt, and trust each other. That's why they succeed where others fail. Meanwhile, the Vexorian mercenaries were regrouping. Their commanders, observing the human actions through long-range scanners, were growing anxious. They had fought countless species across the galaxy, but humans were different. They didn't follow patterns, didn't react predictably, and didn't fear overwhelming odds. Prepare for total engagement, a Vexorian leader growled. These humans, they are not like any other race we have faced. They are dangerous. Back at the colony, the humans and Thryn were not idle. They prepared traps, reinforced key positions, and created unpredictable defense formations. Humans introduced new ways of using energy shields and positioning fleets to exploit weaknesses. The aliens began to realize that the humans' methods were not only effective, they were revolutionary. When the Vexorian forces arrived for their second assault, the humans were ready. This time the battle was not just defense, it was strategy. Human pilots led coordinated strikes, drawing enemy ships into carefully planned ambushes. They used the terrain of space, asteroid belts, gravity wells, and nebula clouds to confuse and isolate enemy ships. The Thryn soldiers, inspired by human bravery, fought harder than ever. They adapted to new tactics, setting up decoys, ambushes, and counterattacks. The humans moved among them, offering guidance, encouragement, and quick solutions in the chaos of battle. One human engineer, Liam Chen, demonstrated a daring technique. Using a combination of energy redirection and magnetic fields, he disabled a group of Vexorian ships without destroying them, leaving them stranded and helpless. Alien commanders watched in awe as the technique succeeded. They think like the legend said, Lyra whispered. Not only do they survive, they turn every situation into an advantage. They are humans. By the end of the battle, the Vexorian mercenaries were forced to retreat once again. The humans had not only defended the colony, but had done so with minimal loss. For the Thryn, it was a moment of revelation. The myths were real, and they were more incredible than anyone had imagined. That night, the Thryn held a council meeting. Alien leaders discussed the humans in hushed tones, still trying to understand their presence. Commander Thalen spoke, his voice filled with newfound respect. These beings, they are not only warriors. They are thinkers, inventors, and leaders. We have dismissed our legends for too long. Perhaps it is time we learn from them. The humans, meanwhile, remained humble. Captain Reeves addressed his crew quietly. Remember, our goal is not to conquer or dominate. It's to help, to inspire, and to show what can be done when courage meets creativity. The galaxy needs to see that humans are more than stories. They are a force for hope. In the following days, humans continued to train the Thryn forces, sharing techniques and strategies that emphasized adaptation over rigid plans. They taught soldiers how to anticipate enemy moves, how to work as a team, and how to use every available resource creatively. The aliens began to see a new way of thinking, one that valued intelligence, courage, and resourcefulness over raw strength. Young Thryn cadets practiced tirelessly, their admiration for humans growing with each passing day. Even the adults who had once laughed at the myths now watched with wonder as humans performed feats that seemed impossible. For the first time, the Thryn realized that these legends had been more than stories. They had been a glimpse of what humanity could achieve. The humans' influence spread beyond the battlefield. Alien scholars, scientists, and historians began to study human methods, realizing that humans combined science, strategy, and courage in ways that no other species had mastered. The Thryn colony, once vulnerable and fearful, began to thrive with new confidence. And far above the planet, in the silent vastness of space, the humans continued to monitor the surrounding sectors. The Vexorian mercenaries were regrouping, preparing for a larger attack, but the humans were ready. They had shown the galaxy that legends could walk among the stars and that courage, intelligence, and determination could change the fate of entire worlds. As the stars glittered above the Thryn system, the humans stood as symbols of hope and power. They were no longer myths. They were real, they were fearless, and they were here to stay. For the Thryn and the neighboring civilizations, the message was clear: humanity was back, and the galaxy would never forget the sight of humans walking into the fray. The Thryn colony was no longer just defending itself, it was changing. Under the guidance of the humans, the alien soldiers had learned to adapt and improvise. They had discovered that courage, intelligence, and teamwork could surpass raw firepower. The once pessimistic officers now planned with boldness, inspired by the humans' example. Captain Daniel Reeves stood on the bridge of his command ship, looking down at the Thryn fleet. "They're learning fast," he said, watching alien pilots practice human-style maneuvers. "By the time the mercenaries return, they'll be ready." Mara Lopez, leading a squad of human fighters, smiled. "It's amazing to see them pick up these techniques. Adaptability is natural to them. All they need is confidence." On the planet below, Commander Thalen moved among the troops, his antennae quivering with excitement. "Today we do not just defend," he said. "We will fight smart. We will turn their strength into weakness." The mercenary fleet, meanwhile, had regrouped far beyond the Thryn system. The Vexorian commanders were furious at their previous failures. "These humans, they are no ordinary opponents," growled one officer. "We underestimated them. We cannot allow this to continue." The plan for the next attack was massive. Hundreds of ships, each more heavily armed than the last, moved toward the Thryn system. They expected an easy victory this time, confident that the humans were few and their alien allies inexperienced. The humans and the Thryn had prepared. Using the terrain of space, they set traps across asteroid belts, gravity wells, and nebula clouds. They placed energy decoys to confuse enemy sensors and designed maneuvers that exploited the mercenaries' predictable patterns. Captain Reeves addressed the combined fleet. "Remember what we taught you. Think ahead, adapt, use every advantage. The enemy expects a simple fight. We give them chaos. Let's turn their strength into weakness." The battle began with a sudden Vexorian strike on the outer defense stations. Energy beams cut through space, sending explosions across the sector. Thryn pilots hesitated at first, but the humans' calm coordination guided them. "Flank from the left," Mara instructed. "Use the asteroid fields for cover. Don't fire until you have a clear shot." Alien ships moved with newfound precision, weaving through hazards with careful timing. The humans led the most dangerous maneuvers, acting as decoys to draw enemy fire while the Thryn attacked from unexpected directions. One human engineer, Liam Chen, monitored the battle from the control deck. He noticed the enemy cruisers forming a heavy line. "Captain, they're predictable again," he said. "We can use that," Reeves nodded. "Do it. Prepare the gravity pulse trap." Using the colony's energy grids, Liam redirected power into a focused pulse field. The field created a temporary gravitational loop, pulling enemy ships into a tight cluster. Their weapons jammed as they tried to maneuver, leaving them vulnerable. Mara Lopez and her squad struck with precision, disabling several cruisers without destroying them. On the bridge of a Thryn cruiser, Commander Thalen watched in awe. "I've never seen such tactics," he said. "They think differently, faster. We've learned so much from them." Even the young cadets were inspired. Nira, who had struggled with training before, now piloted her ship with confidence, following the humans' instructions. She executed a daring move, cutting off a Vexorian fighter squad and forcing them to retreat. Her fellow cadets cheered as they realized that courage combined with knowledge could overcome fear. The battle raged across multiple fronts. Vexorian ships were forced to adapt to constant surprises, but the humans' unpredictability made every move dangerous. Alien forces that had once been hesitant now attacked with precision, learning to anticipate and respond to unexpected situations. Meanwhile, a human ground team worked on the planet's surface to reinforce critical infrastructure. Using portable energy shields and rapid repair tools, they fortified supply depots and communication centers. Thryn engineers worked alongside them, amazed at the speed and efficiency. "This is incredible," said one engineer, wiping sweat from his brow. "I've never seen technology used like this. They make it simple, but it's brilliant." As the battle continued, the Vexorian mercenary commanders began to realize their mistakes. "We cannot predict them," one said. "Their moves, their strategy, it's unlike anything we've seen. Retreat may be the only option." But the humans were not giving them an easy exit. Captain Reeves coordinated a final maneuver, using the combined forces of human and alien ships to corner the enemy fleet near a dense asteroid field. Trapped, the mercenaries struggled to escape as the humans used gravity pulses, energy nets, and environmental hazards to immobilize their ships. Mara Lopez executed a daring solo strike, disabling the lead Vexorian cruiser and breaking the morale of the enemy fleet. The remaining ships scattered, retreating into the darkness of space. On the Thryn command bridge, the room erupted in cheers. Commander Thalen looked at Captain Reeves with newfound respect. You have turned the tide. Our legends were true, but you are even greater than the stories." Reeves shook his head. "We didn't do it alone. Your people learned, adapted, and fought. That is why we succeeded. Legends can inspire, but action makes them real." After the battle, the Thryn colony celebrated. Humans were no longer just strange visitors. They were teachers, allies, and symbols of hope. The alien soldiers who had once doubted themselves now moved with confidence and pride. In the quiet moments following the chaos, Lyra, the historian, documented every detail. "These humans, they are the living embodiment of courage and ingenuity," she wrote. "They have taught us that strength is not just power, but the ability to adapt, to think, and to face the impossible without fear." The humans, true to their nature, did not seek praise. They prepared for the next phase, knowing the Vexorian forces would return, stronger and more determined. Their mission was clear: show the galaxy that humans were not myths, that their courage, intelligence, and adaptability could inspire even the most advanced civilizations. Captain Reeves addressed his crew quietly. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will see more battles, more challenges, but every time we show what humans can do, we change how they see themselves and us. Remember, our job is not just to fight, but to inspire." As night fell over the Thryn system, humans and aliens alike gazed at the stars. The humans' arrival had changed everything. Myths had walked into reality, teaching a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Courage, creativity, and determination could turn the tide against impossible odds. And far beyond the Thryn system, in the shadowy reaches of space, the Vexorian mercenaries regrouped. Their leaders were forced to reconsider everything they knew about strategy and combat. One thing was certain: humans were not to be underestimated again. Above it all, the human ships glimmered like beacons of hope. They were not here to conquer, not here to dominate, only to protect, to teach, and to inspire. In doing so, they had turned a desperate defense into a victory, and the galaxy had begun to see the truth of the legends. Humans were real, and their courage and ingenuity were unmatched. For the Thryn and their allies, the lesson was clear. With humans at their side, no challenge was too great, no enemy too powerful, and no legend too unbelievable to become reality. The victory against the Vexorian mercenaries had transformed the Thryn colony. What had once been a fragile world, barely able to defend itself, now stood resilient and confident. Soldiers moved with determination. Civilians worked together with a renewed sense of purpose, and alien leaders began to understand the true value of courage and intelligence. At the center of this transformation were the humans. Captain Daniel Reeves looked down at the planet from his command ship. The city lights sparkled like stars, and below, the Thryn soldiers practiced maneuvers that humans had taught them. "They've learned quickly," he said to Mara Lopez, who was standing beside him. "More than I expected. They've taken the lessons and made them their own." Mara nodded. "It's inspiring. They're not just copying us, they're thinking, adapting. That's the real strength." Commander Thalen walked onto the bridge of the command ship, his antennae trembling slightly. "Captain Reeves," he said, his voice a mix of respect and awe. "Your humans have changed the way we see ourselves. For the first time we feel capable, united, and ready. You've not just helped us fight, you've taught us to think differently." Reeves smiled. "That is the goal. Strength is more than weapons. It's courage, adaptability, and cooperation. Remember that." Over the next days, humans and Thryn worked closely to improve the colony's defenses and infrastructure. Alien engineers marveled at human methods. Simple adjustments that seemed ordinary to humans transformed the efficiency of the colony. Energy grids were rerouted to maximize shield capacity. Transport systems were reorganized to move troops faster, and communication networks were simplified for better coordination. Lyra, the historian, observed everything closely. She kept meticulous records documenting human strategies, techniques, and philosophy. "These beings are beyond what we imagine," she wrote. "They are the legends come to life, showing us that intelligence, courage, and creativity can surpass the strongest weapons." Even young cadets, who had once struggled with fear, now trained with confidence. Nira led her squad in advanced maneuvers, guiding them through obstacle courses and simulated battles. Every move echoed the lessons humans had taught: anticipate, adapt, and act with courage. Meanwhile, the Vexorian mercenaries were planning their next strike. Their fleet had suffered losses, but they were determined to regain control. "We cannot underestimate humans again," one commander warned. "They are not ordinary opponents. They think differently, act unpredictably, and inspire the weak. We must destroy them before they unite more allies." Humans anticipated this. Captain Reeves held a briefing with his crew. "They will strike again, but this time we will be ready. Our allies are stronger, more confident, and they understand our methods. Coordination and strategy will be our advantage. Remember, we fight to inspire and protect, not to dominate." The humans also began forming alliances with neighboring civilizations. Scouts from Sylar, a nearby species, arrived to observe the Thryn defenses. Humans welcomed them, demonstrating techniques and sharing lessons. The Sylar were skeptical at first, but after seeing human ingenuity in action, their attitude changed. One Sylar commander, Kira Voss, expressed amazement. "We thought humans were myth. Now we see them teaching, leading, and inspiring. Their courage is extraordinary." Reeves replied, "Humans are more than myths. They are examples. We can teach, but you must act, adapt, and trust yourselves. That is how you become strong." As humans shared their strategies, the galaxy began to take notice. Reports of human intervention spread, reaching other species who had long dismissed humanity as legend. Each story emphasized the same qualities: courage, intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to inspire allies. Humans were no longer just fighters, they were symbols of hope. Back on the Thryn planet, joint training continued. Humans paired with Thryn troops to conduct simulations that mirrored real battles. They practiced ambushes, strategic retreats, and coordinated strikes. Humans taught soldiers to use the terrain to their advantage, improvise in emergencies, and trust their instincts. One exercise involved navigating a dense asteroid belt while under simulated enemy fire. Thryn pilots hesitated at first, fearful of the obstacles, but under human guidance they learned to anticipate hazards, adjust speed and trajectory, and execute precise maneuvers. By the end, even the most inexperienced cadets completed the course flawlessly. "See?" Mara said, watching them. "It's not just about training. It's about changing how they think. Confidence and adaptability are just as important as weapons." The alliance between humans and Thryn soon inspired neighboring systems. Sylar representatives, impressed by the humans' methods, began integrating them into their own military training. Other civilizations, previously wary of conflict, saw the advantage of working with humans. The myth of humanity had transformed into a network of alliances across the galaxy. However, the Vexorian mercenaries were not idle. They launched smaller raids testing the new human Thryn defenses. Each attack was met with clever countermeasures. Humans predicted enemy movements, set traps, and guided alien allies through coordinated attacks. Every attempt to breach the defenses ended in failure. During one raid, a Vexorian strike team tried to infiltrate the colony using stealth ships. Liam Chen noticed unusual energy readings and quickly devised a method to expose the enemy using reflected light and magnetic pulses. The stealth ships were revealed and neutralized without damage to the colony. Commander Thalen watched, amazed. "I never thought we could defend ourselves like this." Humans, they make the impossible possible. Reeves nodded. We don't just fight. We teach, guide, and inspire. That is how legends are made real. The successes strengthened the morale of the Thryn soldiers and civilians. Fear that once gripped the colony faded, replaced by pride, confidence, and determination. Humans, by example, had shown that bravery and ingenuity could overcome even the strongest threats. As the alliance solidified, humans and Thryn began planning for the future. They discussed coordinated patrols, shared technology, and methods to strengthen neighboring systems. Humans emphasized the importance of creativity, adaptation, and courage, values that could turn ordinary soldiers into extraordinary defenders. One evening, Captain Reeves addressed the Thryn Council. This alliance is more than defense, he said. It is a chance to inspire. We must show the galaxy what can be achieved when courage meets intelligence, when determination meets adaptability. The Vexorians are strong, but together we are smarter, faster, and more resourceful. Lyra, the historian, recorded every word. This moment will be remembered, she wrote. Humans are no longer myths. They are the living proof that courage, intelligence, and adaptability can change the course of history. Over time, humans became integrated into the training and defense of the Thryn and their allies. Soldiers, engineers, and leaders from other civilizations arrived to learn from them. The humans' philosophy spread: adapt, improvise, inspire, and act with courage. The galaxy began to shift its perception. Stories of humans were no longer tales of legend. They were reports of real beings capable of incredible feats. Even the Vexorian mercenaries began to fear them, realizing that human ingenuity and courage could not be underestimated. As night fell over the Thryn system, humans stood on the bridge of their ships watching the stars. The victories, the alliances, and the inspiration they had created were only the beginning. Captain Reeves spoke softly to his crew. Humanity has always survived because we think, adapt, and act with courage. Now we have a chance to inspire an entire galaxy. Every system, every civilization, every mind that sees what humans can do will remember this lesson. We are real, and we are capable of anything. The stars above reflected the light of a galaxy awakening to a new reality. Humans, once myths, now walked among civilizations as allies, teachers, and symbols of hope. The alliance had formed, and the stage was set for the next challenge. The Vexorian mercenaries would return, stronger and more determined than ever. But humans and their allies were ready. They had learned, adapted, and grown. Legends had walked into reality, and the galaxy would never forget it. The galaxy had begun to whisper about humans. What had once been considered myth was now undeniable reality. Every civilization that had seen their courage, intelligence, and adaptability began to respect and, in some cases, fear the humans. But whispers could turn into storms, and the Vexorian mercenaries were preparing the largest attack the Thryn system had ever faced. Captain Daniel Reeves surveyed the preparations from the bridge of his command ship. Allied fleets were gathering, Thryn cruisers, Siler scouts, and even smaller species eager to learn from humans. The humans had become the unifying force, the symbol of strategy and courage, capable of turning a disorganized group of defenders into a coordinated army. Mara Lopez stood beside him, eyes scanning the starfield. They're coming, she said calmly. And this time they won't leave easily, Reeves nodded. Let's show them why humans are not legends of the past. We are legends of today and tomorrow. The first wave of the Vexorian fleet appeared beyond the outer asteroid belt. Hundreds of ships, bristling with weapons and technology, moved in perfect formation. Their commanders had learned from past failures, hoping to overwhelm the humans and their allies with sheer numbers and firepower. Commander Thalen watched nervously as the alien fleet approached. We cannot match them alone, but with humans. His voice trailed off. He looked to Reeves, trust in his eyes. The humans moved quickly, coordinating every ship in the fleet. Captain Reeves gave precise orders. Form the diamond pattern. Keep the Vexorians in range of the asteroid traps. Mara, lead the first strike group. Liam, prepare the gravity pulse field. Timing is everything. The first engagement began in the dense asteroid belt. The Vexorian fleet fired in volleys, expecting panic. But human-led formations moved with flawless timing, weaving between asteroids, using debris for cover, and striking with precision. Alien allies followed, adapting to new strategies and thinking in ways they had never considered. Mara Lopez's strike group darted through the enemy lines, drawing attention while Thryn cruisers circled behind to trap Vexorian ships. Each pulse of human energy tactics immobilized enemy vessels, causing confusion and panic. The humans' ingenuity and leadership turned what could have been a massacre into a calculated advantage. On the surface of the Thryn capital, Lyra observed the battle through a wide array of screens. "They are legends," she whispered. "They are every story we were told, and more. They fight like the myths, but their courage and intelligence make them real." The Vexorian commanders were thrown into chaos. Their precision attacks failed to predict the humans' moves. Every maneuver the humans executed exploited the weaknesses in the mercenary fleet. Even the most experienced Vexorian officers began to panic as their ships were isolated, disabled or forced into retreat by carefully timed strikes. Captain Reeves remained calm, adjusting plans as the battle progressed. Mara flank left. Thryn cruisers cover the right. Liam synchronized the pulse field with the gravity well. All units adapt and anticipate. Use every advantage. The humans' words were more than commands. They were a lesson in courage and strategy. The Allied fleets followed with precision, learning and adapting in real time. Each successful maneuver inspired confidence and determination. Soldiers who had once doubted themselves now fought like heroes, believing in their own strength because the humans believed in it first. In the midst of the chaos, Mara executed a daring solo maneuver. She flew directly through the heart of the Vexorian formation, disabling multiple cruisers with precise energy pulses, then emerged unscathed. Commander Thalen watched in awe. "I've never seen anything like that," he said. "They make the impossible possible." Captain Reeves activated the final stage of the plan. Using a combination of gravitational pulses, energy nets, and environmental hazards, the humans and their allies forced the remaining Vexorian ships into a confined space. With nowhere to retreat, the enemy fleet was systematically disabled. One Vexorian commander, realizing defeat, tried to escape. Reeves anticipated it. "Deploy intercept drones," he ordered. Within moments, the fleeing ship was surrounded and neutralized without unnecessary destruction. Every move had been precise, calculated, and humane. Another example of human ingenuity and ethical strategy. The battle ended with a decisive victory. The Vexorian mercenaries were forced to retreat completely, their pride shattered and their confidence in human myths forever changed. On the bridge of his command ship, Captain Reeves exhaled, satisfied but focused. "We've won this battle, but the war for the galaxy's understanding has just begun. Every civilization must see what humans can do, not to conquer, but to inspire." On the Thryn capital, citizens poured into the streets to celebrate. Humans and aliens together cheered, their voices echoing across the planet. Soldiers hugged and laughed, amazed at what they had accomplished. Even the youngest cadets, who had once trembled at the thought of battle, now ran through the streets with pride. Lyra, documenting the day's events, wrote, "Humanity has proven itself real, courageous, and wise. They have turned legend into reality, and in doing so they have inspired not just one world but an entire galaxy. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability will be remembered forever." Captain Reeves addressed the assembled crowd from a raised platform. "We did not come to fight to conquer," he said. "We came to help, to teach, and to inspire. Every being here has shown that courage, intelligence, and determination can overcome even the greatest odds. Today, legends walked into reality, and every one of you is part of it." Commander Thalen stepped forward. "Thanks to these humans, we have learned what is possible. We will defend our worlds, adapt to any challenge, and carry the lessons they have taught us to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity is not just myth. Humanity is hope." The crowd erupted in cheers. Stars shone brightly above the Thryn system, a symbol of new beginnings and endless possibilities. Humans had done more than win battles. They had changed minds, inspired courage, and turned stories into living examples. Far beyond the Thryn system, other civilizations took notice. Reports of humans' ingenuity, bravery, and leadership spread quickly. Systems that had dismissed the legends began sending envoys to learn from humans. Alliances formed, not out of fear, but out of respect and admiration. Even the Vexorian mercenaries, once arrogant and ruthless, began to reconsider. They had underestimated humans, and the cost of that mistake was evident. Across the galaxy, it was now understood. Humans were not myths, not tales for children, not relics of the past. Humans were real, and they were extraordinary. Captain Reeves and his crew prepared for the future. They knew the galaxy still held challenges, dangers, and conflicts. But with allies inspired and strengthened, they were ready. Humans had not only defended the Thryn system, they had shown the galaxy the true meaning of courage, intelligence, and adaptability. As night fell across the Thryn capital, Captain Reeves looked at the stars, a quiet determination in his eyes. "Legends can be stories or they can be real," he said softly. "We are the proof that courage, intelligence, and heart can change everything. The galaxy will remember humanity, not as myth but as a force of hope, inspiration, and strength." And so, the humans who were once forgotten, who were once considered myth, had walked into the fray. They had faced impossible odds, inspired entire civilizations, and turned legends into reality. Across the galaxy, beings of all kinds now looked to humanity not just as a story, but as an example, a shining proof that courage, creativity, and determination could overcome any challenge. The battle was over, but the story of humans had only begun. Legends were alive, walking among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same again.